What time is it?
Tea time!
Oh, yeah!
And welcome back to Tea Time. It's week number 2 of 2017, episode 13, and let's get going with the topic that's up, ready, and fresh. We just had our first wild card rounds of the playoffs for the NFL. I went 3-for-1 in my picks. I took Oakland over the Texans, which ended up being my only wrong pick. I took Seattle over Detroit. I took Green Bay over the New York Giants, as well as I took the Steelers over Miami Dolphins. But now we have the next rounds, and originally I actually screwed up when I was making my picks. I had Kansas City over Oakland, which actually wouldn't have happened anyways, and I had New England over Pitt. Well, those are actually reversed. It is actually Pittsburgh going to Kansas City, and now the Houston Texans are going against the Patriots. But my picks aren't changing. I'm still taking Kansas City over their opponent and New England over their opponent, of course, because I don't think the Texans have a shot in this lifetime to actually beat the Patriots. But I'm going to actually stick with Kansas City and say they still make it to the championship round. I think this is a completely different team than what Pitt faced, I believe, in week 4 on Sunday night, maybe week 3, where they blew their doors off in Pitt. This time it's in Kansas City. Jeremy Maclin's healthy now. The defense has gotten healthier. I still think Pitt will score points, but I think Tyreek Hill could actually be a huge, huge, huge difference in all of this. He actually is really come across in the running game more than ever, and as well as he's still in the pass game and he's still in the return game. But I think Kansas City have proven down the stretch they're pretty resilient. Yeah, they lost to a Tennessee team they probably shouldn't have late, but that was an up-and-rising young team that had a lot of spunk. But I think Kansas City actually still wins their game, even though it's now against Pittsburgh instead of Oakland, like I said, because I screwed up the numbers there. I forgot if Pitt wins, they go face the 2 seed. But I'm actually going to keep Kansas City. I actually have a hunch feeling that they're actually going to take care of business and beat Pitt this time around. I think their defense is good enough to slow down Pittsburgh, and I think their offense has come alive more in recent notes because Pittsburgh's D is not very good. I do not trust it. I think Tyreek Hill could be a big X factor in all this, and I think they actually pull out the victory. Now to the other side of the AFC, there's a few keys here. I don't think the Texans have a shot in hell to win this game, but I'm going to give you the blueprint if the Texans wanted to win this game. It is going to still be Brock Osweiler, most likely. They could make a random switch to Tom Savage back from concussion protocol, but I don't think so. I mean, Osweiler looked pretty good against the Raiders. He didn't look great, but he's definitely looked better. But I think, well, here you go. Here's the blueprint. It all starts with Tom Brady, and you got to make him uncomfortable. You have to get to him. Jadeveon Clowney made an insane athletic move that DN should not be able to make, tipping a pass to himself, making the catch. But I think if they can get pressure on Brady, they don't need to confuse him like past Ravens and Jets defenses have done. I think if Clowney and that defensive line can get themselves to Brady, knock him around a little bit, get him off his plant foot, get him out of his comfort zone, I think they could do a lot of damage. I think they can just get his rhythm off. And if they can do that, and then on the offensive side of things, Brock Osweiler cannot turn over the ball. Lamar Miller has to get it going on the ground. And they're going to have to get vertical. You get vertical on these New England Patriots corners and safeties, you have a shot. That seems to be their one weakness. They're good at preventing the big shots. So if you can get the big shots, which you have the playmakers to do it, in Fuller and in DeAndre Hopkins, you actually have what you need to attack this secondary of New England. And if you can attack that New England secondary getting vertical, if you don't turn over the ball, if you can run the ball, you actually have a shot. Now, that's easier said than done. And like I said before, I don't think the Texans have a shot in hell in taking care of that business. And I think the Patriots win again. And then on the other side of things, we have Green Bay going to Dallas, which I'm not going to count Dallas out. I'm not. They're still a very good team, very solid team, but this is a team where 90% of their roster hasn't been here before. And this Green Bay roster has. A lot of these guys won a Super Bowl with Aaron Rodgers years ago. And I think this team is dangerous. It's on fire. Look what they just did to that Giants D, and that Giants D is definitely better than the Dallas defense. And I think Aaron Rodgers continued his streak in his MVP-like performances. I think he goes into Dallas and beats them, and I think he beats them well. I don't think Dallas can keep it close. But Dallas beat Green Bay once already in Green Bay. So if Dallas can control the ball, feed Zeke, let him get it down, Dak hit some receivers on the outside and keep it close, anything can happen. But they can't let the game get away from them. The defense really needs to step up. They really need to be that defense that they've been all year, just not necessarily doing too much, just doing exactly what is needed to take care of business. But I still got Green Bay. I think Aaron Rodgers is going to go in there and light them up. Definitely an inferior defense to the Giants, and I think Rodgers proven that he's on a tear, and I think he's still on his way to his second Super Bowl. And then for the last game, we have the Seahawks versus the Falcons, where I reluctantly picked the Seahawks. And I'm going to stick with the Seahawks. I think the Seahawks is going to do just enough to beat Matt Ryan and the Falcons. I think they're still a playoff caliber team that just knows how to get wins, knows how to take care of business. That Atlanta defense, as improved as it has been, I still don't think they're great. I think they're up and coming. But I think Russell Wilson, and by the way, Thomas Rawls ran in the first round. I think there's a really good shot they're going to pull this one out and pull it out late. I think it's going to be a very good game. I think it's going to be a very close game. But I think Seahawks, with their experience, continue their role and end up hosting the NFC Championship to the Packers. And I'm sticking by my Packers over Patriots Super Bowl pick, and nothing's going to change my mind on that. But all right, let's take a quick ad break and then talk some college football. Trenton here from Tea Time with Trenton, Eugene Sports Podcast. And if you need to get around town, Eugene Hybrid Taxi is the way to go. They have fast and friendly drivers as well as awesome owners. I would know. I'm one of their drivers. Call dispatch and make appointments for airport pickups or just, someplace to get around town, maybe go to a Duck game. And if you happen to get me as your driver, you tell me what time it is, I'll give you 10% off your next fare. Eugene Hybrid Taxi. Clean, friendly, and reliable. All right, we have coming up the big one, the final meeting, the rematch. It's Bama, it's Clemson for the national title. They're going to go down. I saw this rematch coming from the beginning of the year, even though it looked kind of shaky like we were going to get there. But we finally are here. We're to the championship game. And as much as I hate saying this, but I'm going to say it, I think Bama wins. I think Bama by 6. I don't think they crush them. I think Deshaun Watson is the best player in college football right now. I think if NFL teams aren't looking to draft him in the first round, I think they're crazy. I think this kid is unbelievable and phenomenal, and he's led his team through thick and thin, and he just absolutely decimated that Ohio State defense. And the Clemson defense really showed up. I mean, making Ohio State give a big goose egg, that's impressive, because that's still a very potent, good offense. But I'm still taking Bama. This Bama team looked like it's on a mission. This defense has been unbelievable all year. They have 17 defensive touchdowns, which is unheard of. And I think it's going to continue. I think that one mistake when Watson sometimes kind of is the Brett Favre of college football, where he tries to sling that ball into windows that he shouldn't. I think he's going to do it once or twice, and one of them's going to bite him, and it's going to turn into 6. And that's going to be the difference of the ball game, is that one turnover. Now, I'm rooting for Clemson. I want to see Clemson win this. I think it would be good for Clemson. truly get rid of the Clemsoning moniker, which has kind of been gone the last few years. But I want Deshaun Watson and Clemson to get this win. I just don't see it happening. I think this game's going to be decided by that one mistake, and I think that one mistake will be a pick six of some kind or maybe a fumble. Who knows? But I think Bama wins by 6. I think they have another championship run come to a conclusion. I don't think they lose one this year. As much as it saddens my heart that the Crimson Tide evil empire continues to ride and roll, but it's just so hard to pick against that defense right now. It's just unbelievable. Nick Saban, year in, year out, has that defense. It's phenomenal. It's the best defense in the country, and I don't think there's even a doubt about that. But on to a more interesting topic in Nick Saban. If he wins this one, that will be 6 total national championships, 5 with Alabama, 1 with LSU, all in SEC country, and quite an impressive run. He'd be winning 4 in the last 7 championships, so it's insane what he's doing. It's just truly phenomenal. And if he is to win, will this finally be the time Nick Saban leaves Alabama? I know people always say every year he's not going to. He's going to get whatever the highest contract he's offered by somebody else, show Alabama, and get the money. I get that, and I believe that. But let's throw this on for size. He's going to be known, and I think already is, the greatest college football coach to ever coach. He's one of 3 guys, I think maybe just 2, that have won a national title at more than one school. But he's about to possibly win his 6th. And winning 6 national titles, doing it at 2 schools, and doing it in the toughest conference. I mean, the SEC is still the best for the most part. Especially he's won it when they were the best, without a doubt. But he does this, then is he going to be just satisfied still being at Bama, still winning? Because there's a certain point where a coach feels fulfilled or feels bored. And he's definitely learned at Alabama how to build up a franchise. So it was to say that one of these football teams don't call him up and give him full control. No GM. It's him. He has full control of his personnel. Yeah, what happened in Miami happened in Miami. And it didn't go so well, and he left 24 hours after saying he wasn't leaving. But think about it. There's a few good choice teams, 2 in particular I'm thinking of right now, possibly 3, that he could take and have full control and build and show he can win in the NFL. Because at the moment he can't. And that's going to eat at him. I mean, Pete Carroll left the NFL and came back and won a Super Bowl. Jimmy Johnson left college and won a Super Bowl. So there's that thing of, does he want to be the best college football coach ever, or does he want to be the best football coach ever, period? Going and winning just a Super Bowl. If he goes and builds a franchise and wins a Super Bowl, there's no doubt he's in that conversation. And you could argue he's better than Belichick. Yeah, Belichick is right now the greatest NFL coach in our era. I don't think there's much argument in that, as much as I hate to say it. But I really don't. And if Saban was to come take on a team and win a Super Bowl, that's 6 national titles in college football in a Super Bowl. Obviously, if he wins 1, he'll probably try to go for a few more. But it's just, what does he want his legacy to be defined as? Does he want that black mark of what happened in the NFL, or does he even care? He's a lock for the College Football Hall of Fame. There's no doubt about that. He could stay at Alabama and be a king as long as he wants. But he could go to San Francisco, which would take a lot of building up. Or he could go to LA and go to the Rams and have some young good pieces, some older good pieces, and build up from there. Or he could even go to the Chargers, who has established quarterback and some good pieces there as well. I mean, there's choices there for him to take and make. And it could really, really change how people view him. He could go from just being the great college football coach that he is and becoming the great football coach there ever was. And it's just all about, what does he want? And if I'm Nick Saban, that's something I want. Guys like that who win and win consistently and win at the top level They're looking for the next thing. How could they be better? I mean, he's a top recruiting class almost every year. It's almost gotten to the point where he's in cruise control. And him winning another national title only proves how much he's dominant over the college football world. But just imagine if he left Alabama in what cushion spot he had and went to go change a franchise around like the Rams or the 49ers, brought the 49ers back to greatness, went to the Chargers and made them great. It's the possibilities like that really make you think. Because 6 national championships is incredible, but it's not a Super Bowl. And is that what he wants? I think he's going to be thinking about it hard, but I don't know. If I was to bet money, I would bet money he stays at Alabama. But if I was him, I'd look for that ever-eluding Super Bowl ring that even some of the best NFL coaches never actually get a sniff of. All right, that's all I got for some college football. So we're going to wrap it up with some Oregon Duck updates after this ad break. Trenton here from Tea Time with Trenton, your Eugene Sports podcast, and I want to talk to you about a nice little store called Got Socks. They can fill all your sock needs. They have everything from sport socks, cool designs, as well as catchphrases and words like bacon. They have the right price and the right sock to fit your needs. They're located at the east entrance of the Valley River Center Mall, right across the way from the Oregon Duck store and the food court. So if you got needs, they got socks. All right, on to the part of the show that a lot of locals here in Eugene like to listen to is my Duck updates. I generally mostly update about the Ducks, but I hit some of the Pac-12. And recruiting-wise this week, the Pac-12 got stronger. Foster Sewell, which I'm probably saying that wrong, a big-time offensive tackle, top 5 guy, committed to Stanford. Then you have a very, very big commit for Oregon State. They got another 4-star receiver, Calvin, who committed on national TV at the Army All-American game, which makes 3 4-star receivers for Oregon State. They're on the rise. UCLA got the duo of defensive tackle Martin Andrews and linebacker Ramon Johnson, who was considered to be a lean to commit with some of his buddies. He ended up going a different route. And Oregon was able to secure the commitment of Darian Felix, a 2-year top 5 finish in the opening. Very athletic running back, very explosive. A lot of good recruits there for the Pac-12. But a shout out to my good friend Sheila for bringing this topic up. I always ask for feedback from friends and family, stuff people want to hear, and she brought up the question because Oregon hired a new coach in Willie Taggart, and brought up the question of why would you get rid of so much experience in that Oregon staff, because Willie Taggart is not keeping any of them. And they kind of touch base slightly. I'm not going to get too into detail at the moment, but I said it on the last podcast, and I'll say it on this one. Oregon needed something new. I, like some friends and family, a very small percent, were with Helfrich and wanted him to be kept and thought this was just a blip year and he was going the right direction. And I think the football team didn't need a new direction, but the fans in the university did. We have become a powerhouse school. We have become one of those teams where 8 wins is no longer good enough. You have to be in it every year. You have to be in competition to the last week for the Pac-12 championship. You have to be in competition to the last day of the week in the college football playoff. And somebody's head has to be chopped. And the AD is not going to chop his own. So unfortunately, Helfrich got chopped. And with Helfrich, the 217 years of college football experience staff, some of which who didn't agree with how Mullins handled the situation, me being one of them. But the bottom line is, good decision, bad decision. It's a new era. It's no longer win the day, as much as it pains me to say that. It is not. This fan base, this university, They needed something new. And Rob Mullins did something. He brought in Willie Taggart. He got rid of Mark Helfrich. Willie Taggart's bringing in new assistants, younger assistants. There's a Twitter presence of this coach and this coaching staff that wasn't there before. The older coaching staff was more complacent, not much on Twitter. They did a lot of the recruiting in the quiet. Closed curtains, as you will, old school style, which has worked for Oregon for so many years. And I strongly believe it would continue to work. But it's not what the fan base wants. It's not what the university wants. It's not the direction they want to be anymore. People think University of Oregon was passed by our old coaching staff and their old ways. I disagree. I just think it's different. But this new coaching staff, young, hungry, out there on Twitter, out there being ambitious, out there going after anybody and everybody, sending out scholarship offers to everybody and anybody, trying to figure out who wants to be here. They are in scramble mode. Don't think for 1 second, fans, that this is what Oregon recruiting is always going to be like. Taggart has to fill 25 spots for scholarship offers, not including the transfer of Wayte Kirby, who we will miss, and possibly more. But that's it's the way it is. That's how it goes. He has to fill spots with whoever and whatever will come. And that means offering anybody and everybody. If he so much as sees someone retweet someone else committing, he's on the phone with them calling them. And you can't just assume the old staff didn't do their homework, didn't do their job. They are looking at kids and looking at the best kids that fit what they wanted to do. Willie Taggart right now is just going after any and everybody interested. Helfrich cared a lot about this university, so don't go bashing him like I've seen some do and thinking he didn't care and it wasn't his thing and he didn't go after players for whatever reason, A, B, or C. He had a very specific way of doing things, a very specific way of going after players, a checklist, as you will, and it's just different than Willie Taggart. Now, Willie Taggart's claim to fame is being a good recruiter, and I think he will be. And I kind of respect Willie Taggart for not doing something PJ Fleck just did, which you could agree with me or disagree. But Willie Taggart came to University of Oregon, and people asked if he was going to go after his commits from South Florida. He said, there's a few I have my eye on that I think would fit with what we're doing here, but I'm not just going to take players away from the school because I recruited them for South Florida, not for Oregon. PJ Fleck was just hired as the Minnesota coach, and between January 6th and January 8th, he flipped 10 recruits from Western Michigan over to Minnesota. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of something like that. He literally took half the recruiting class from one school and brought it to the other. Now, granted, these kids committed to PJ Fleck, not Western Michigan, but it's a move that doesn't make me feel comfortable. And then as I'm saying that, he's recruiting 3 guys he recruited to South Florida to flip to Oregon. But 3 is a lot different than 10. But as far as the old versus the new, you got to be excited for what the new's doing, and it got to make you sad to not see the old around anymore. But eventually, change has to happen, and it's happened now. Now, we're going to have our last ad break, and then I'm going to wrap up the show. You know what that sound means. Trent here with Tea Time with Trent, your Eugene Sports Podcast. And Oregon Duck hockey is back. We're getting ready to start the season with returning leading scorer Trevor Schott. Join us on YouTube for the broadcast with myself and Isaac Rosenthal. Season starts 9:30 against Southern Oregon, and we'll see you when the puck drops. After hearing that ad, I realized I got to update that thing a little bit. But nonetheless, we got through quite a bit this show, and we're continuing to build up. I know this show and the last show weren't as long as I normally do, but it's still kind of playing a little bit of catch up, still kind of balancing what's going on in my life. But next week, we're going to dive more into the NBA, MLB. I'm going to start doing some Pac-12 breakdowns after signing day, what I think of each team, where I think each team's going. I'm going to pick 1 or 2 of them each week and go over them. And, I mean, just to give you a quick glimpse of that, one of my focuses will be Oregon's in-state rival, Oregon State. I think they're heading in a direction, as I mentioned before, in a very good one. They have four-star wide receivers that are all committed. And I think they're slowly getting back into a groove where they're going to be really competitive. And I'm going to be doing a special episode, not on my normal Sunday. It's going to break down the 5 weak sauces, as you could say, moves in NBA history. We just had Durant go to Golden State. We've had LeBron leave Cleveland and come back, just to name a few. But we're going to go over the 5 weak sauce rating moves of all time and debate and get to how those go. But it's been a pleasure. It's been a blast. Thank you for listening. I hope to hear from you. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Facebook. I'm on all those things. Give me feedback. Tell me what you want me to talk about, and I will talk about it. Unless it's about unicorns and rainbows, then I probably couldn't tell you a whole lot. But thank you again. Until that time.
What time is it? Tea time!